All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Monday, April 20th. More Iranian news headlines affecting the markets this morning. Opened up much lower from where we closed yesterday. Opened around 790, I think. And now we've drifted higher through the Asia session, the European session, coming back up on the point of control, the value area from Friday that was centered around 160. Headlines coming out. Trump, I am willing to meet with senior Iranian leaders if breakthrough is reached. The vice president and U.S. delegation to land in Islamabad within hours, according to the New York Post. So, yep, Iranian headlines are driving the markets yet once again. Don't want to come into this market today with any sort of bias as to where I think things are going to go. I think we have to let the order flow just lead us for right now. Not a ton of large activity before the market open. We had some buyers between 138 and 145, and a seller down at 140 that looks to have been trapped. So let's see what happens. We're going to wait for the large orders kind of come in, see what ranges start to develop, see where absorption is, and then we'll go from there. But again, I don't have any real strong bias coming into the markets this morning. Not really bullish or bearish here. I just want to see what the volume during the U.S. cash session does. See how much volume we get this morning. So we're open. Markets are rocking. Open and imbalance not printed yet. But it looks like it was a positive imbalance, I would think. Just based off the market reaction. I'm trying to read headlines. Oh, actually negative 115 million on S&P's 500. So a couple large transactions right at the open. Could just be market on open orders at 150 and 151. Seller at 149 and a quarter. Right there. You got to allow this distribution to set up a little bit. Don't want to come in and start predicting where this is going to go just yet. So just the seller at 149 and a quarter. Push the market lower. We're extending the distribution just a little bit lower. Looking at the TPO charts, I'm trying to find some reference levels for today. I mean, there was a volume node that was kind of centered around 127 from Friday that may offer lower resistance, but we're also kind of in a low volume area from Friday around 140 where the market could just like potentially fill in today. We still have that gap from Thursday to Friday from 116 all the way down to 88. So market may drift lower into there. There's a whole lot of possibilities right now. But we don't also have any economic news this morning. It comes out tomorrow. I think it's retail sales at 8:30, and then the new nominee for Fed chairman, I believe, is speaking. He's testifying before the Senate or Congress, one of the two. That will provide probably a good amount of volatility, and that's at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So given those factors, and we also have Iranian news, potential negotiations will be continuing. All that to say, I don't think there's a high probability that institutions take very big positions today. I think you would wait until tomorrow morning's news events, retail sales, and the testimony to really start loading up in one direction or the other, and also to get some more clarity out of the Iran negotiations. So we'll take it a little easy on Monday. We were going to be extraordinarily patient this morning, more so than we probably typically are, because it is a Monday opening auction. And there's a lot in flux at the moment. We're just hovering around the POC, which is developed at 150. Volume came in at the lows and pushed price higher. We've had large activity at 149 and a quarter, 148 on the sell side, and then a buyer also at 149 and a quarter. So give or take right here. So let's just let this market develop a little bit. We're in a very tight range for the open. Opening volume in the first minute was 13,000. Yeah, not bad, not great either. Generally, good activity is generally over 15,000 contracts transacted in the first minute. Anything sub 10 is a warning signal. So again, some flashes of the sell side divergence at 151, just above the POC. I mean, this range for this morning from 153 and a half down to 143 and a half, perhaps. Like, this is about a 10-point range. That's minuscule. And I think that's just a reflection of institutions not really willing to step on the gas just yet and load up on positions for the week. Allow some of the news flow to come out. And more flashes of the seller divergence. Nothing has held yet this morning. And generally discount most, if not all, of the pre-market action. Because when the volume comes in during the US cash session, that tells you everything. Overnight prices can drift pretty wildly on low volume and low activity. So once the volume comes in and all the liquidity starts to enter the market, that's when you know a directional move could potentially be under the way. Good amount of activity here on the offer. It's holding down price. And we're kind of at the bottom of the range from Friday. That was aggressively bought up. A lot of divergence here on the buy side at 153. So we'll see if buyers are willing to take this higher again from this level. But we had the flashes of the sell side divergence. Sellers not really holding range. We're starting to drift upwards a little bit. We're making higher highs and higher lows ever so slightly. But that's a good amount of volume to come in there right at the highs of the distribution to push price lower. So still no large buys outside of 149 and a quarter that happened at 932. So no large activity since then. I still think it's too early to be predicting potentially where this market's going to go today. This is just a very tight range. No new news since 926, thankfully. But potentially a lot of news flow can come out today. I'm still rotating higher, pushing ever so slightly higher. Volume's coming in and suppressing price here a little bit. Still no signs of divergence holding, though. We've had flashes of this seller divergence all the way up here above the POC. It has not held yet. Just very calm, steady markets. Just be patient and watch. So you did finally get some sell side divergence to hold, not a lot. 51 contracts, that's not a ton. But now let's see if you come down here and test these volume areas, the 147 and the 145 that push price higher. The last time we tested the lows of this distribution. No other large contract activity. Yeah, very tight range. Very, very tight range. See what happens when we come down to the downside of this distribution, because this was a relatively quick snap out of it. Like the volume came in and snapped us right back into value. I'm kind of interested to see if that happens again. And so again, flashes of the buyer divergence here. But if the bulls are strong, you're going to snap this right back into value here. You're not going to spend time rotating down here outside of value, which for the moment you kind of are. You're not getting that immediate snap back into value. All right, again, some overlapping rotations here. Volume's coming in and is pushing prices lower. So yeah, no, not the reaction you would want to see if you were bullish. But that can all change in a moment. I mean, you could have a ton of volume just immediately come in. So a seller at 144.5, right there at that swing low. We'll see if anything else comes in. We got to be careful with these morning sellers because all of last week you had very big sellers come into the market just after open, try to push things lower, and they would continuously just get trapped. And then the markets would rocket ship higher as those shorts covered their positions. Is the same thing going to happen today? I don't know. We'll see. But we've only had one large seller down at 144.5 so far, as we're testing the lower end of this distribution. The volume that's coming in is still pushing price lower. And if the market was really interested in not being here, I think you would have had a much quicker snapback than you have right now. It seems to be a little bit of a struggle down here at 144. It wasn't the quick snap up. But that is pretty good resistance to the lower end of the distribution. That volume did end up holding price here. And so we'll be patient. See what happens when we come up on the underside of the POC. Yeah, it doesn't. I get the impression like the market is just not interested in picking a direction just yet. Like we kind of hung up near the highs. We didn't quickly reject the highs. Like he kind of slowly just crept up. And then in the Tesla lows, he didn't immediately reject, right? We had resistance back here, back towards the POC. So I think the market is just doing a little bit of price discovery from where we've opened and it's going back and forth a little bit. Find all the remaining areas of liquidity before it decides that it wants to move in any direction. I mean, this could just be the sum of it for today. It's this very tight range. No one's willing to step on the gas anywhere. Not really willing to build a huge position. Because I'm pretty sure it is the Fed chairman that is the nominee is speaking tomorrow, is testifying at 10 o'clock. And the testimony for these things can be extraordinarily volatile. Because there'll be some crazy questions asked for sure. Yeah, and we're just kind of hanging out here at the value area low. not like quickly rejecting anything, just hanging out, overlapping rotations around 147, 146. Just being patient. It's Monday. It's a very tight range. Not a ton of volume this morning. I think institutions are just waiting. Right, we've only had that sell activity at 144.5, and that was it. Now a person is underwater. And Flash's buyer divergence willing to take prices a little bit higher here. For a long, I want to see a rotation back down towards the value area low that quickly gets snapped back up with volume, heavy volume entering the market. I want to know that buyers are here willing to take this when offered lower. Right, because you're not immediately rejecting this point of control here, this 150, which tells me that we're potentially going to be testing these highs again. And it's a very tight range, though. This is a very stupidly tight range. Right, kind of something like what you just saw right there. So I will put a piece on at 148 and do 141.25 stop. Quarter position, 148 limit. Just because of what happened here. And I was talking about I wanted to test the value or low and then quickly snap back on some volume coming in. And we've had buyer divergence, keep on getting buyer divergence, flashes higher. And this absorption at the highs was kind of weak because we saw the absorption starting at the POC and kept drifting higher. So ideally, I want to break at the highs. I don't want to take profits at 154 for this. But if we keep on coming back down here, testing this and snapping back towards the POC, I'm going to add. So long at 148. Looking to add to it if we can. Still nothing in the institution side in terms of being greater than 100. So a buyer at 148. Snap this back up to the POC. I feel like the market just like went down to that liquidity. It must have been just resting there and the market just went down and filled it. So let's see what happens here. If we don't quickly snap back, then we'll probably just exit this very small position. Because we're not getting real definitive signs here, right? We're starting to get the overlapped rotations here. You're not quickly rejecting it. Right now you're stuck in this very tight rotational range. So really for me, I think to add to this now is going to be break of this rotational range and a failure to rotate back into this rotational range. That's what I want to see happen now for me to add to this. Because we're see how we're kind of just like overlapping near the lows here in this value area low. That's not a very good sign for extraordinarily bullish behavior. Even though we have been resisting this value area low, it just hasn't been an immediate snapback. And you keep on kind of revisiting that area. So more buyer divergence. You want to snap at this range and then on a retest fail to come back into the 150. So we're still long at 148. Small position. We're snapping out of this lower range right here. You don't really want to be coming back into this range. Yeah, so yeah, you're just snapping right back into the range. Pretty heavy ledge right there at 150. Yeah, that was not good. That was not good. So I'm going to think about ditching this here. Yeah, ditch it. And try to get filled at 147. The volume's holding it lower. See if we can't get filled at, oops. Okay, so we hit a market at 146, which is fine. So we're in at 148, out at 146 on a very small position, quarter position. Just because of this right here. We tested outside this rotational range. A lot of volume came back, pushed back in, and then you went and tested lower. Like for this to be a good bullish thesis, you wanted the rotation out of this range, the test back in to bring in the volume and then push it back out and keep it out. You didn't get that at all. So it's best just to exit this rather than cross our fingers and hope that we can get back into this range, get back out. Like a lot now would need to happen for us to resume our bullish stance. So there was the buyer at 148, which I think it was right here. What time was it out? 9:46. Yep, right there. And now we're just bouncing on the underside of it. And you're getting the seller absorption coming in lower. So, I mean, this does feel slightly bearish now, right? Because we had this rotational range here. You tested outside of it, brought in the volume, snapped it back in, went down below, are trying to get back in, and you don't just seem to be able to. Right? But this volume that came in kind of held up the price a little bit. And these absorption numbers are really small. So we're gonna just take it easy and let this play out a little bit. Because now we're getting a little bit of the mixed signals, right? This was pretty bearish what happened here. And then this was a little more bullish, right? We should have stayed out of this rotational range. I mean, this might be telling right here, this volume that came in and pushed you right back out of that rotational range. All right, with solid revergence, right? Like just sell some market here. And let it play out for a minute. Yeah, right back into the range. Yeah, we're going to sit on this for a little bit. I mean, look at this ledge right here, right? You have this sudden drop off in contracts right here. Like this is someone leaning on 150. And now the volume's coming in and trying to push you back out of that earlier rotational range. And it's just not working. Yeah, I mean, this could be the summation of today. It's these, and then probably the best approach for the trade is to fade the range extremes, distribution edges, and take it back towards the POC. If we're just going to do this, right? We test out of value, snap back in, test out of value, snap back in. Right? There might not be a directional move today. because of the pending economic news tomorrow, retail sales, and then the testimony at 10 o'clock. Right. And we haven't seen a ton of institutional order flow come in this morning. It's been pretty absent. So buyer, large buyer at 150. 490 contracts. See, someone's leaning on 150. That's a pretty heavy absorption number, to be honest. That's pretty heavy. Let's see what role this 150 number now plays now that you've had such a large order there. Let's see what happens when we come up to these swing highs here at 154. Still a lot of activity on the offer. Not just immediately snapping back. Like you're kind of battling it out here a little bit with this volume. Yeah, I mean, you might snap this. Marcus price should be down here. If this was resistance and these were heavy sellers right here, he'd be down here. But it's a little tough now to define the range. I think any test back within value that gets snapped back out is a long on top of this absorption number right here. Even though we were just talking about, hey, we're going to fade the extremes of this distribution here because we might just chop back and forth. But what just happened here with the big buyer at 150, and the failure to rotate below it, the absorption that we've now stayed above, the volume that came in and held price higher, it didn't reject it, kind of just immediately changed the narrative. So now give me test back within value that immediately get rejected on strong volume coming into the market. And I will take that long. I don't even know if you'll get low enough back into value. So let's see. So the absorption came in higher. So that's not bearish. Even though you're getting absorption numbers, you're getting them higher than you previously got them. Just I want to see a rotation lower. We got to rotate lower for me to get in, not following price up here. So we were originally long at 148. We stopped it at 146 on a quick quarter position. All right, because we saw this. We were snapping. I mean, we weren't really snapping, but we were testing the value area low, rejecting it. And then we were hypothesizing that we needed price to break this rotational range and retest it. It broke the rotational range, but then came right back into the range and it went below it. And then we were like, okay, our long thesis is probably no good anymore. And then, of course, the market was like, okay, now we'll go higher. Now that you're out, we will go higher. So ideally, we do get back to the value area highs to test this break here, kind of like maybe in this area, the 153s, and immediately snap back out on volume. That's the ideal scenario for a long right now. But the volume that's coming in is not suppressing price. This is, again, reactive selling is not initiative selling. So sellers are just reacting to the high prices, but they're not willing to sell it lower. So it looks like the theme of last week is just continuing again. but no large institutional activity outside of 953 and the 490 contracts that were transacted at 150. That's it. No flashes of the absorption up here on behalf of sellers. Finally getting the flash of the divergence. Ideally, I want to see a test of 153s that gets quickly rejected. Gotta get my news back up. So no headlines after the market open. All right, so now we're going to test down to 154, 153, value area high. Watching closely to see that the volume comes in. Does it lift price or is it suppressing price? Because we're getting at to the location that we're entertaining the idea of a trade. All right, you got the volume coming in. I'll do 156 on a limit. Catastrophic stop at 149. I would not think you would ever get back down here in any bullish scenario. So limit at 156 is just what this happens. We're talking about a test back towards the value area high that gets rejected on volume, which you kind of just had. This wasn't a ton of volume, but it's exactly what you were kind of looking for. So we took one stab at 155. If we get lower and reject this harder, I'll add. Right, because ideally, I wanted to test up down here at like 153. That's ideally what I'm looking for. But I'm willing to put a piece on here at 156. A piece. A piece of the pie. But again, I'm not really expecting a huge like trend run today. But I was surprised all last week that we continually just trended and trended and trended. So it could get the same thing today. Let's see if the volume comes in and lifts price once again. You want a quick rejection out of here now. If this was meant to hold, you're going to get a quick rejection out of here. That's like borderline. That was really borderline. So I'm not willing to add a second piece just yet. Like right here seems to be the spot. Right here, 153. This little volume. All right, so now we came in. I want to see us snap out of here. I don't want to see us close back in here. I want to see this volume come in and then lift price up to here. Let's see where we close on this. Yeah, I kind of like it. So I'll put another piece on. Average price now is 155 and a quarter. Full stop at 149 still. So half position now at 155 and a quarter, just because we came back into the value area. The volume came in, suppressed price. or lifted price. It's exactly what we were looking for. I mean, the first target is probably going to be 164 if we get up there. But full stop at 149. Yeah, we're going to get stopped. Unless this quickly gets snapped out on volume. Oh, there you go, baby. Come on, hold it. Let's go. So still nothing outside of 150 on a large order size. And then you're holding that level, which is good. But I want to see more big buyers come in here, right? This is very constructive, what we're seeing. We're failing to close back in with value. The volume that comes in lifts price. But now we need to move away. And we don't want to hang out here. Because then the 149 will be included in this kind of like volatile range, and you'll get stopped out on volatility. And so we want to see the push away. No reason. We're not loading any more than a half right now until the trade starts working. Half positions until the trade starts working. Yeah. Ugh. Sellers are just kind of pressing on this a little bit. Yeah, we're probably going to get stopped out. You're not getting the quick snapback that I would really like to see. I mean, you're getting resistance here for sure, right? But are you getting the absorption? No. Are you getting a ton of volume to come in? No. It seems like the most of the volume that comes in with these 1 minute candles is suppressing prices, not lifting it. I want to see large buyers coming in and just snap this. I don't want to see absorption numbers coming in lower. So still long out 155 and a quarter on a half position. Initial target is maybe 164, and that's just where sellers came in near the close on Friday. How we interact with these highs will determine what I do with my stop. But we want to move away from value now, right? If this is going to do something today, you want it to move away from value now pretty quickly. Right? You just resisted coming back into value. Now hang out outside of value and close outside of value. We don't want to see it snap back into value. Volume comes in, we want it to lift price. Let's see what happens when we get up to 157. Do not want to come back and stay and close within value. That would be not good. We want to stay away from this area now, right? We don't want overlapping rotations here. If market rejects, it doesn't want to overlap in rotations. The business should be done here. Okay, now you're getting absorption higher, the failed rotation back into the value area high. That's good for us because we're still long at 155 and a quarter and a half position. Stop remains at 149. You don't want to see it come back here and close within value. Yeah, you didn't want to see that. The more we start drifting down here, more volume comes in here and pushes price lower, the less we like this trade. Our volume came in here, pushed price lower. Volume came in here, pushed price lower. We don't see a snap right here. We're going to start trying to limit exit. Right, there should be no reason to rotate back down here. Yeah, damn it. All right, try to get a piece out at 153. Where's that volume at? 153. Yeah, you won't get it. You'll get maybe 152.5. So just trying to unwind here a little bit on the half position. I just don't think you would rotate it this low, right? If this was bullish, and it just doesn't seem like it is now. So I'll try to get some out on a rotation at 152.5. Of course, it's going to be like 152. It'll rotate up to 152. All right, so out. So now just a quarter position remaining. Got out on the rotation because I really just didn't think you would rotate down here, honestly. Yeah, the volume came in, lifted at the POC, so I'm okay leaving a quarter on. But in terms of loading up the half position there, like that just seems kind of crazy right now. And getting back to the original statements as to whether or not we actually thought the market was going to make a directional move today, and we're kind of like thinking that today's probably not the day to do that because the economic news releases tomorrow morning and the testimony at 10 o'clock, and it's a Monday. And this could just be the theme of the day where I just get shaken out of longs on retracements that go deeper than I initially planned them to go. But for me now to go back to the half position after we exited some of this at 152.5, I need to see more constructive signs. And these ranges are getting a little fuzzy now. Because like, where's the top of this range? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? These failures to rotate back outside of value and hold the volume that comes in outside of value is just pushing price down. I just want to exit the full quarter now. So I'll see if I can't get out at 54.5. And I'm going to be aggressive with this. I just don't like what I'm seeing at all. Just stop at 151. Yeah, we got out at 151. Because you're going to hit your stop for sure. This failure to rotate outside of value, the volume that comes in immediately suppresses price. Just forget it. Move on. So keeping things light. Don't want to overly commit. All right, definitely correct in unwinding that position. All right, and it was right there. And that rotation outside of value, the volume comes in and pushed it right back into value. Right, and then combined with the fact here, we initially saw the problem because you wouldn't have bullish scenario, you wouldn't have rotated back into this range, and you did. So now, like looking at where the lows are. So activity at 147.25, 147.5. There's a buyer at 47.5, and there were sellers at 48.75 here, and 47.25 right here. And that was the catalyst pretty much all of last week was some heavy sellers would come in, they got absorbed, and then the market would then make its move. And that's some pretty heavy absorption numbers right there. 800 contracts absorbed. Yeah. Failing to get outside of value on the downside. But to really like get into this position again, to really consider longs, I'm not even exactly sure what you would need to see now for that to be plausible. I mean, yeah, that's bullish, but you wanted it up here. You want that to happen here at the value area highs, right? That could just be responsive buying here. And then that's all you're getting. Now you're just getting the value rotations. Go out of value, rotate in. Go out of value, rotate in. And this might just be a day that's suited for very short, small scalps back to value from out of value. Once you see the volume coming in and out of value, fade it, and then take your profit near the POC. That might just be the play. All right, but I'm going to go use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. So sellers at 47 and a quarter, 48.75 are now underwater. Got heavy absorption. Getting some more absorption. Not spending much time here now below the POC. Like I want to have a bullish bias based on this, but these failures to rotate outside the value area high make it difficult. So like ideally I'd want a long scalp here down near the value area low and take it up towards the POC. If not, get the full extension up towards the distribution highs. All right, we got to play within the market that we're given right now, and this is a very tight range. 159 down to 142 is very tight range for S&Ps. I mean, just look at the TPO chart of this day's range compared to the previous day's range. I mean, this is just extraordinarily tight. But the sellers, again, we're at 147 and a quarter and 148.75. So they're down here. Another big buyer at 150, which happened earlier. I mean, this could just be the remaining of the trading session just sitting in our hands. Took a couple stabs trying to go long. And good management kept us from losing a whole lot. And the positions were pretty small. And I don't want to read too much into the fact that we're absorbing around the POC. Right, that can happen a lot. You get absorption numbers around the POC that don't really mean anything because there's just a lot of liquidity here. I want to see how we do. I'm trying to rotate below the POC here. Yeah, I mean, there is a part of me that wants to start loading up here again and just get these longs in, because these failures to rotate below the POC right now, I feel like are kind of telling. This heavy divergence down here, the sellers down here that are now underwater. See what happens when this volume comes in. Yeah. I just want to buy a little here. So I'll put a little on at 150 and stop at 140 catastrophic. And I always say catastrophic stop because I always try to get out on a rotation before it gets down to my stop. Once the order flow shifts and tells me that, like, hey, you're wrong about this, then I look to get out on a rotation. So a little piece on at 150. I want this trade to actually start working now before I go into a full half position. Because there's just too much working against us on a long position right now for us to be like, okay, this is definitely a long. All right, so I'm happy with it. Just a small piece at 150. Make sure we get our news open. Did this just happen? Truth Social, Trump just said something about Iran never getting a nuclear weapon. Which was right. He's all over the place. He's talking about 2020. He's talking about Venezuela. Okay. I don't think what that Truth Social tweet, I don't know what you call on Truth Social. A truth? I just posted a truth. I don't know if that truth didn't really matter to much of anything. Anyway. U.S. Iran talks are planned for Wednesday in Pakistan, according to CNN. So I'll just keep the quarter piece on at 150. Stops at 140, but you can easily justify a 144, 145 catastrophic stop now for sure. So we'll move it. I just want to see more constructive signs that this is potentially a long breakout here, right? Because we're long at the POC, and we just keep on talking about how the better trade today might be the scalps out of value back towards the POC, and then we just keep on defying that and trying to get long because we're seeing this absorption around the POC, which I'm also trying to discount because of the fact that it is near the POC. But we've had buyer now come in at 150, 153 and a quarter, 147.50. All right, the sellers are underwater here. This has been the catalyst all last week, is that they needed large sellers to come in to trap them, and then they would take the market higher. It's like you got to set the trap first, I guess. As we approach, where's last like super right here? As we approach 156, it may be proven just to move this stop to break even. All right, we don't want to watch it run all the way down. All right, the volume that's coming in at the value area high is just pushing price lower, right? This just might not be the long breakout we were hoping for. But also 150 is also kind of tight on the stop because we're just like kind of rotating in that area. You can easily just rotate down here to 150 and snap back. So I'd be hesitant on that stop. What are we at on the stop? 145 still? Yeah, I'm still okay with that. As we get up to 156, I'm more keen to move this to break even. I see this volume coming in here, and if it just holds price back down into value, then we'll just move the stop to 150 and scratch the trade if it comes back to 150. I would think. I mean, distributionally, this is pretty clean. Like this could just be all completed auction up here. And we're just resisting the lower side of the spot where buyers came in on Friday, which was around here, 153, 155, somewhere in here. All right, so now that we're up at 150, I'll do 150 and a quarter on the stop. Like I want us to see us add volume up here that holds up price. I don't want to see the volume coming in and pushing price back down. I want to see it holding price. I want to see the inability to get back into value. If I see an inability to get back and hold value, I will add to the position. So we're just long on a quarter piece at 150. I moved the stop to 1/4 above. So 150 and a quarter. Protective stop just because we've come up on this 156 area where sellers came in. Oh, went way too far, right? This 156, right? Lots of activity on the offer and all the volume that's come in up here is just suppressed price. And the most constructive thing you could probably see here is to see tight overlapped rotations here just above the value area high. They snap down into value, that gets snapped right back up on volume. That would be the most ideal scenario. Because markets a lot of time will test one direction before they go in another direction. You got to see where you're not going before you know where you're going. I have no idea who came up with that quote, but that's a quote by someone. So we want to see resistance to this value area high now. This was all constructive for our long. The inability to get outside of value on the low side. Like you see how we could not close and we couldn't really get outside very far. But you're also not getting very far now on the value area high. So that's good. That's kind of constructive. Entertaining the idea of adding to this now and hoping for a snap. But you see how I just used the term hoping for a snap of the highs, 160. I mean, this wasn't a good clean rejection up here previously. Like he kind of hung out here and then rotated lower. So I think he can snap it. And divergence coming in at the value area high, that's pretty good. So maybe I'll try to add at 154 and a quarter, 154 and a half. See if we can get a fill at 54 and a half. Probably not. It's probably just going to go now. Let's see what happens when this volume comes in. I'm contemplating the cancel of this. Yeah, I'm going to cancel it for now just because we're this. Shit, it might have been too early. I want to see where we close relative to this volume right there. And you close right at it. That's pretty constructive. So I'll load up at 154.50 if we can get it. I think 155 is a little too high in the chase, right at the value area high. And your average would be 2 and a quarter. All right, so filled on another piece. Yeah, of course it would do that. I'll 150 and a quarter for part of it, and then another part of it at 148. I want this volume to come in and push this back out. We should not be back down here at all. If this was bullish, you should not be down here. So average now is 52 and a quarter. Stop on a quarter position at 50 and a quarter. Stop on the rest of the position at 48. Because there's no way you make it down here in a bullish scenario. No way. So the only thing that could be wrong is that we're wrong on the bullish scenario. And that what we kept on saying all morning, that the best trades probably with this distribution shape was just to fade the extremes and take them back to value. But we seem to be doing the opposite based off of the absorption, which we might be overweighing in our analysis, considering that's at the POC. Yeah, so now we're stepped out of that part. Yeah, it's not coming back up. So I'll try to get out at 150. Yep. Yo, bro. Yo, bro. Yeah, I think we're being a little too hopeful. I mean, the loss is real small this morning, which is good because we're not really feeling a directional move out of this market, so we're not loading up on positions. Like these overlapping rotations, this is time acceptance. This isn't rejection. We're rejecting value outside value. We're not accepting outside of value. So maybe the plan is now to actually just do what we originally planned to do, which was scalp the edges of the distribution and take it back towards value. You're just not getting the directional move that you would have hoped for, right? You wanted this to come outside of value and fail to get back inside of value. And we've had that happen multiple times. Or we're kind of looking like the market's holding at the POC. It's not rotating down towards the value area low. So therefore, it's going to extend towards the highs, which is true. But every time it gets out towards the highs and outside of value on the high side, the volume comes in and then rotates price lower and suppresses it. And you're now not getting the immediate rejection here of the value area lows, right? Because buyers have now tried this several times to rotate outside of the value and hold it and have not been able to do so. But we've also been unable to rotate outside of value on the low side too. So balance, balance, balance is what this looks like today. Probably the highest probability trades with this distribution and this order flow is just to fade these extremes and take a quick scalp back towards value. And then trade in larger size, because these are short point moves. Yeah, I mean, this distribution is so clean. Yeah, it's a pretty clean distribution. So you take small stabs until proven right. See, just failing to rotate out here. And this is the area of the big absorption earlier. So maybe do a half position at like 147. Try to limit at 147 and a quarter. And see if you can get 154 on rotational movement. But now you're failing to get above the POC here. Things that make you go, Yeah, lower absorption. Not ideal. Overlapping rotations here. It's also not ideal. Like if we see like heavy absorption now here, I would scalp it. But I want to see heavy sellers come in and try to push this lower and be able to do so, and then it comes back into value. I want to see a heavy attempt. I want to see a good attempt to drive prices lower that fails. And then we'll get on board with our out of value scalp trade idea. So I'm just going to load up a half on the prospects that we do this trade. I mean, that's not really what you're looking for. No, that's not what you're looking for, really. Mm-hmm. 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 So I want to see a lot of volume come in here and then us push right back up into value. All right, I want to buy at 46 and a half. Stop at 41 and a half. Half position. Gonna sell some probably at 150. And then 154. I want to see what happens at the POC. If heavy volume comes in and pushes price back down, then exiting at 150-ish. This is kind of what I'm looking for, right? I don't think this is like a bullish breakout to the upside. I just think we're going to go up towards the top of this range now after this rejection of the lows. Could be completely wrong. Stop at 41 and a half. If this doesn't work, then we're just not reading the market very well today, and there's no sense in keep on trying this. But this is pretty good absorption here. I want to see his price move up above this volume now. Above 145, looks like. No heavy sellers, no heavy buyers. I want us to stay above this volume now. I want this rejection to be quicker. There's no reason to overlap this rotation now. We overlap these rotations down here, that's not a good sign for us. Go back to quarter positions in case I need to exit out of this, which I'm starting to get an idea we're going to need to. I'm just spending a little too much time down here. I mean, it's nice that we have absorbed, but this was not a quick snap out of here. And we're overlapping these rotations. Like we close down here, which we're going to. We got to start exiting. Because we'll easily hit 141 and a half. So I'll look to sell some of it at 144. Okay. Now the rest will remain closed at 141.50. So sold a quarter of it at 144 because we're these rotations, so we're just overlapping. That's nice that you're getting the buyer divergence. But if this was really strong, you wouldn't be sitting down here this long. We're sitting down here way too long. And now that you got me out of quarter of my position, now you're gonna fucking rocket ship, right? You fucking motherfucker, you. It's like the theme of the day. Shake stilts out of the trade and then go. So we still have a quarter on at 46 and a half. We'll let the order flow dictate this trade management. I don't want to start speculating as to where I'll add and where I won't, or where I'll take this part off. Whether I'll take it off at 150, shoot for 154, or even shoot for 159. But that volume coming in there right back inside value is not good. That's not good at all. All right, so part of me just wants to stop it at the 46 and a half that we're in at and just get out of it. because we're absorbing lower, right? The absorption was up here 47, 48, and now the buyer absorption's lower. That's not great. And if we can't rotate back into value, we need to get out. All right, you need to rotate and close back in value, please, and not rotate back out. So, I mean, we're just trying a little scalp long here at 46 and a half. But this market is just not rotating back into value in the manner in which you would really like it to. If this was a strong trade, not going to add to it. At least not with this price action. There's just too much working against this long right now for us to be like loading up. But I mean, yeah, you're getting the buyer divergence, but again, we're not holding buyer divergence levels. We keep kind of just moving through them. Even with these flashes of buyer divergence, it's just not. I'm not loading up. Stop remains at 141 and a half. All right, we extend this distribution range. We're absolutely done with the trade. But I mean, I almost got a feeling we just need to get out at 46 or 45. 45 and a quarter, 45. Try 45, just straight up 45. Rotate. Cancel. Yeah, see, now I'm getting a little hopeful. I want to cancel. I just want to get out. Get out at 145, please. Get me out on a good rotation. Oh, I rotated into 145 and it wasn't filled. Move the stop up to 143 because this is not good. That we're not rotating back into value. I don't care if this trade now works, right? They shake me out in my full position. Forget them. All right, out at 143. Okay, now we need to take it easy because nothing that we're really doing this morning is really working all that well. Yeah, same. Ay caramba, bro. Ay caramba. Yeah, just failing to rotate back within value. Our absorption numbers are not holding. Buyers are trapped at 150, 153 and a quarter. Some heavy volume that just came in. Probably another news headline somewhere. No large transactions. It's like you almost want to freaking scalp it again. This market is driving me a little crazy today. Driving me a little crazy, market. I mean, I feel like that was a pretty good attempt to really extend things lower, and it did not work. Like that was a sudden injection of volume that just went nowhere. All right, if we put something on here with a very tight stop at like 138, 139. See if we close above all this volume. How much volume? Yeah, see, that was a lot of contracts that came in right there. When we come back above all this volume, we close above this volume. Oh, so you're so borderline, bro. That's a lot of volume to come in at the lows and then not get anywhere. So a lot more volume coming in there too. Large sell at 7,140. Like, I'm just thinking scalp now. All right. Yeah, we'll try to scalp it. 137.50. Very tight stop. 141 and a quarter entry, 137.50 and stop. There's a lot of volume coming in here right at the low and you're not getting anywhere. And like a 150 exit. But again, we'll see what happens once you get rotate back into value. At value, we'll definitely move the stop to break even. 145-ish. We don't want to see volume coming in here and suppress price now at all. Yeah. It's not really what you want to see. Yeah, this trade might be over before it even started. Just the one large transaction at 140. Stops at 37.5 on a quarter position. Just looking for a quick scalp. I'm trying to get back up to the POC. Because there's a lot of volume that came in at the very lows of the distribution and it's just gotten nowhere. Right? Even though you're not getting heavy absorption print, it is heavy absorption. Come on now. Building volume anywhere down here wouldn't be constructive for our trade. We also need volume to come in above this level that lifts price and pushes it back towards the POC, which you're not getting. It just doesn't want to do it. Right? Like, this is a pretty precarious scalp. I mean, we want price to really start moving now, please. The longer that we rotate down here, the longer we stay down here and aren't able to break this 142, the worse this gets for us. All right, this is time acceptance in auction theory. The more rotations you have overlapping, the more likely it is that prices stay in that area. Well, the volume that's coming in is on the offer. You want it to hold price up, though. You don't want it price to close under all of this. You want it to be at it or above it. Oh, 41.25. I mean, we can easily rotate back into this range, so I don't necessarily want to move the stop, but that's not constructive at all. Yeah, I think we're just hoping a lot here. Yeah, I really think we're hoping. Yeah, I'm willing to ditch it for a break even. 41 and a quarter. Yeah, if it hits our stop and then runs without us, it is what it is, but that's not constructive. All this volume, right? As you're trying to break out of this lower range here, and all the volume comes in and pushes you right back in towards that range, like, that's not what you want to see. You want to see the volume pulling you away from that range. It's better. It's better. Let's see what happens if you can even get back up towards value. I don't even know if you're going to be able to get up there. I might just sell the limit at 146. If all this volume just keeps on coming in and suppressing price, just like we're going to be lucky to get 145 on an exit, I think. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll put a limit at 145, see if we can get it. I'll move this to one tick above my entry. All right, cancel the limit at 145 because that absorption that just came in, we might be able to push back into value here. My stop's at 141.50, just maybe a little tight. If this volume that comes in now suppresses price again, yeah, maybe we were correct in trying to get out at 145. Let's see where this ends up. We can just be really aggressive with the stop in the exchange, I think. Right, stop at 143. If we come back out of value, resist it, heavy volume comes in, pushes us higher, right? We're enough outside of value on our stop that I would add and see if we can't get a move towards the highs again. A lot of activity on the offer, though. This isn't very mixed. You can see a bunch of volume come in and lift price. Stops at 143. Yeah, it came right back into the value and shot right back out. It's pretty quick rejection. The volume is push pricing out. It's not pushing price back in. At least not at the moment. It's trying to. It's trying to. Yeah, we're gonna get stopped at 143. You want to finish above here. You want to quickly snap out now. You're not. This is not quick. There's nothing quick about this. This is very slow. And stop at 143. Yep, there you go. We probably. Oh, we actually got filled at 143 on that breakdown. Hilarious. The one time you would expect slippage with trade of 8, it didn't slip. Amazing. Yeah, kind of a grindy day today, folks. Kind of a grindy day. I'm really wondering what that fucking news headline was. This fucking news flow is insane, guys. It is insane. That's why you always have stops. Always have your stops in place, man. Woo! What a breakdown right there. That was crazy. I still don't see a headline. I don't see any headlines since 10:36. That is a crazy breakdown. Sellers at 140, 138, 130. The 138 and the 130 came on the news. And price on the retracement stopped right at 138. Check CNN. Maybe CNN knows what the fuck's going on. No breaking news. I'll refresh Financial Juice, see if it's got anything to say for itself. Buyers at 135. Sellers at 138 and 40. Financial Juice still has nothing. But I don't want to jump into another position now. Too close to 11 o'clock. A slightly negative day. What are you going to do? Can't win them all, folks. Can't win them all. Some choppy price action today. Yeah, still no headline since 10:36, so I have no fucking idea what just moved the market. That was probably, that had to be a news headline somewhere. Services unavailable, financial juice. Okay. So you're getting hung up in this area where the large sellers came in. And large buyers are here at 135. So now you're just kind of stuck in that little range. Reuters? What are you, Reuters? You got anything? Iran may join peace works on U.S. blockade. Yeah, that's old headlines. No, I see no breaking news on CNBC. Financial juice is just like not really working. Trump highly unlikely I'll extend ceasefire with Iran. How long does the ceasefire go to? I don't know. So I don't know if he tweeted that. I can just see that it's breaking news. Trump highly unlikely to extend the ceasefire with Iran. That's it. All right. Well, I think that's it for us today anyway. I'm getting hung up at the 135. More buyers at 135. A lot of buying at 135. But a lot of it was absorbed. And then 140 was the top of the sellers down here. 140 to 138. Trump's ceasefire expires Wednesday evening. And he's highly unlikely to extend this ceasefire. Buyers at 136 and a quarter. Yeah, I'm not going to try to push anything. This is very volatile. We've been predicting kind of maybe a continuation, breakouts to the upside, and just never worked. Vance will leave for Pakistan later on Monday. Wasn't there an earlier headline that he was about to land in Islamabad? Anyway, all right. Good luck to y'all. God bless you. Stay safe. Don't get too carried away. It's Monday. This is mostly a balanced range for the most part. But I mean, things have just been a little all over the place because of the news. So just be careful, folks.